I've had a lot of manufacturers come to me and say, I'd really like to see more customers in the medical space or in the energy sector. And so there's some ways that you can diversify your customer base. One of those ways is just by getting certifications. And I talked about that in a previous video. You can check it out on my channel. But customer base, I'm not going to talk too much about today just because that's the topic we usually talk about. There are 5 other very, very interesting ways that you can consider diversification. And I firmly believe that if you can put all of these 6 areas of a diversification together, you're going to create a lot of stability in the future of your company. Manufacturers are experiencing more uncertainty in their financial situation than ever before. A lot of that is attributed to geopolitical situations, skyrocketing interest rates, and a lot of other factors. I've been having quite a few conversations through my podcast with manufacturers, and one of them I had today really brought me to the point where I said, I want to write down 6 specific ways that manufacturers can diversify to create more stability for the future and allow them to grow without this really strong fear of, what's going to happen if, so-and-so gets elected, or what happens if, a certain country experiences some dramatic fluctuations in interest rates that they're getting supplies from. So the 6 ways that I've identified that you need to diversify are, number 1, your customer base. Now, customer base is one of the most common ways that we talk about diversification. I've had a lot of manufacturers come to me and say, I'd really like to see more customers in the medical space or in the energy sector. And so there's some ways that you can diversify your customer base. One of those ways is just by getting certifications. And I talked about that in a previous video. You can check it out on my channel. But customer base, I'm not going to talk too much about today just because that's the topic we usually talk about. There are 5 other very, very interesting ways that you can consider diversification. And I firmly believe that if you can put all of these 6 areas of a diversification together, you're going to create a lot of stability in the future of your company. So the second way is supplier base. Now, this is something that, if you're getting raw materials from one supplier, you're completely dependent on that situation. So it's very intelligent for a manufacturer to think about other places that they could be getting those materials. And this specifically comes into play when you're dealing with, getting raw materials from overseas. You never really know what's going to happen in China, or you never really know what's going to happen in a lot of these, kind of developing countries that are supplying raw materials to the U.S. So it's very important that you've already, kind of pre-identified some other places that you can get these materials and just try them out. Maybe not order full quantities from them, order some smaller quantities. My conversation today with a machine shop involved, he brought up the idea of diversifying your supplier base when it comes to people that are actually producing parts for you. So if you're an OEM and you put out an RFP, a lot of OEMs are just going to select that one company and receive, their parts from that company. I personally, and in this manufacturer that I was talking to today, we both believe that it's going to help you out a lot if you can give some smaller quantities to another shop or two. And you may not get the cost advantage, but at least you already have pre-identified another supplier that can produce those parts, especially if they're a mission critical part. If you can only push your machinery out the door if you're receiving these parts, you can't be 100% dependent on one supplier. The third way that you can diversify, especially if you're a contract manufacturer, is in the machinery that you have. And one of the ways that I see this play out is if you are a machine shop and you have, some 4-axis mills, you've got some lathes, the pretty typical machine shop machinery. A lot of times you can identify some additional types of machinery, like perhaps an EDM, or perhaps you could incorporate some welding capabilities or metal cutting capabilities. So if you can incorporate different types of machinery and different types of processes into your manufacturing operation, it can expose you to new types of jobs. Supply chain consolidation is a really big topic these days because of shipping costs and just because of the complexity that comes when you have multiple suppliers, bringing product to your OEM facility. So these OEMs really like to consolidate their supply chains. And so, I've recently heard, an OEM reach out to a website that I own, Tri-State Manufacturers, and they were looking for a machine shop that also had fabrication and welding capabilities. Now, you might think that, well, most machine shops should have some welding capabilities. Well, surprisingly, there's not a lot of them that do. And this is not an extremely expensive process to incorporate or extremely expensive equipment to incorporate into your operation. So if you can identify some really cool, simple value adds that you can bring to the table, it can get you in front of new jobs. The fourth way that you can diversify is in your offerings. Now, I've seen a lot of very successful contract manufacturers start to develop their own product line. And this doesn't have to be extremely complex. You already have the expensive machinery that can produce some pretty awesome products. So one example is I have a customer that, they have their contract fabrication services, but then they also manufacture enclosures, metal enclosures for electronics. That's one example of a product line that you can develop with relatively simple engineering. It already incorporates your core skill sets, but it's something that you can sell for an additional stream of revenue. And I've seen very, very successful shops incorporate this concept into their business very commonly. The fifth way that you can diversify and that you should diversify is in your employees. So a lot of shops that I talk to today have this issue of an aging workforce. And so their key staff, the ones with all of the knowledge, are starting to age out, and they're within a couple years of retirement. This is the time where you really, really need to start thinking, even if you might not absolutely need that person on staff, but you need to start thinking about bringing in some younger people that are going to start to learn and gain that knowledge from those guys that have been there for a long time. So diversifying your workforce is also going to create some stability in your future, because when those people move out of your company, you've got someone to step into those positions. The sixth important way, arguably the most important way of diversification, is in your business development strategies. So this refers to how you're getting leads, okay? How are you getting new business? A lot of manufacturers say, hey, we get referrals, we hit up our existing customer base and see if they have any additional work. Those are both great ways to do it, but those aren't the only ways. In the digital marketing space, I'm a marketing guy. One item that I always emphasize is you need to have a great website that clearly displays all of your offerings. And you need to start thinking about search engine optimization, which is the process of getting ranked higher in Google search results and other search engines for the terms that are going to bring you business. For example, if you have an ISO certification, that puts you in a little bit of a different class of machine shops. So you want to have a page on your website that's labeled ISO certified machine shop in whatever region you exist in. And what that's going to do for you is put you in a position where if somebody searches for that, they can probably find you. Now, there could be competition aspects to it and things like that, but you really need to start thinking about how you are pushing content out to the market, out to the search engines, so that those procurement people can find you when they need to find you. So just to review, the 6 ways that you need to diversify your manufacturing company is: number 1, your customer base; number 2, your supplier base; number 3, the machinery that you have available; number 4, your offerings, so expanding beyond just your contract manufacturing services to your overall offerings, and maybe a product could be incorporated into that; number 5, your employees. So it's starting to bring some younger people in to start to learn from that aging workforce. And number 6, your business development strategies. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I hope you learned something. I hope one of these little topics about diversification might have been something that you didn't think about before. And hopefully it's going to help you adjust your business and start to really move towards a place of stability and long-term success. Please like this video, follow the channel, and please scroll through the content that I have on there. And I've got a lot of great videos about lead generation, content generation, and just overall strategies to help you grow your business.